Hello and welcome to Lore of the Storm, the series that looks into the lore behind your favourite heroes of the storm, but this time it'll be quite different. I mean, the fact I'm getting back into doing these is a novelty in itself. Instead of heroes, we will be looking at the Nexus itself, as it seems the heroes of the Storm team are eager to inject this realm with a bit of backstory. That's a far cry from Blizzard Dota's original storyline.
In a tiny trans-dimensional pocket universe sit two dark and terrible gods, one red, one blue. To amuse themselves, they kidnap great heroes from across time and space. And those heroes come from one company, Blizzard. These heroes are forced to fight to the death in an endless battle with no purpose other than ladder points. This is Blizzard Dota.
Previously to this, there has been an underlying lore to the Nexus. Its own characters such as the Gravekeeper, Ravenlord, and the various other voices that can be heard commentating events. We've seen realms unrelated to other Blizzard franchises explored, like those of Dragonshire, Blackheart's Bay, and the Haunted Mine. The Heroes team now look to give a reason as to why the environments of the Nexus are so varied, and make the Nexus characters we've met so far more than just voices. While I thought the Nexus was just a fun little playground for my favourite Blizzard heroes to face off, it has now been confirmed that it is a real place that exists within the universe, sitting at the heart of a cosmic storm, where realms come into and out of existence within mere milliseconds. The Nexus can be described as a universe all its own, a universe of universes made up of a multitude of different realms. Some of the stable realms are thousands of years old, and some are only just being born, realms in flux and chaos. One of the established realms houses 3 of the known battlegrounds. Ravencourt plays host to Cursed Hollow, the Haunted Mines, and Towers of Doom. Each different realm has its own realm lord, the individual in control of their part of the Nexus. Ravencourt's realm lord is the Raven Lord. All Realm Lords are in possession of an item which allows their powers to dwarf all other denizens of the Nexus, a singularity. This gives them access to the storm powers of the Nexus, making them akin to demigods of the Nexus universe. We have been told a few other Nexus Lords, all in possession of their own singularities. Klar rules over Luxoria, the home of Sky Temple and Tomb of the Spider Queen, and the Lady of Thorns, who watches over King's Crest, where Dragonshire and the Gardens of Terror can be found. There are more universes for players to uncover if they read skin descriptions, such as the Mecha universe, Mad Axe. To unveil more of the lore behind the Nexus, the team will be releasing content outside the game as well as content within. The form some of this lore content will take is comics, and the first of these is Rise of the Raven Lord, giving a little insight behind the Nexus Lord of Ravencourt. The Lord resides in an imposing fortress looking over a city, and surveys his realm while taking on the form of a raven, a similar mode of transport to the hero Medivh. His is a realm currently beset by war, as we can see from the first panel of the comic, the Angel of Death Malthael aiding in a siege against one of the Raven Lord's outposts. This rebellion is led by the Gravekeeper, a few players will be familiar with due to taking part in the conflict between the two entities on Towers of Doom. Quite why the Gravekeeper is standing against his realm lord is not explored in this comic. The Raven Lord is not worried by the Gravekeeper's rebellion. He has existed for thousands of years and seen many similar battles play out in the Nexus. The Lord knows there is always more to them though, as long as someone is willing to look deeper. Clearly he thinks himself one of, if not the only Lord with the foresight to do this, as he uses his singularity to look at the activities happening within the other realms of the Nexus and observes the other Lords to be weak and too consumed by greed to see the bigger picture. Using his singularity, the Raven Lord then views the very edge of the Nexus and is shaken by what he sees. His singularity becomes a burning flame, and the Lord sees a coming invasion that will destroy all in its path and consume the Nexus. Though while the Raven Lord loses hope, his singularity shifts, changing into a bright blue light, which the Raven Lord takes as a sign. The only way to hold off the threat of the newly forming realm that the Raven Lord saw forming at the edge of the Nexus is to conquer it himself. Though, as they are, his armies lack the strength. The Lord concedes he must take on desperate measures. One of the Raven Lord's advisors, Neve, greets him at the door to his chamber, observing the commotion that just took place, though the Lord seems to pay her little mind, focused on what must be done to achieve his goals. He is certain of what must be done and has no need for Neve's advice, something that concerns her and drives her to follow her master, as when he says that, things almost certainly go wrong. The Raven Lord attempts to alleviate Neve's fears, saying she will soon understand, though Neve is persistent. When the Lord tells his knights to find a woman named Orphea, Neve implores the Raven Lord wait for her, so that he does not make a rash decision. The Lord brushes his advisor aside again, saying it is too late as he approaches a chamber he had once promised his family he would never enter, easily dispatching the guards that stood at the chamber's door. Neve gives the Lord one final warning, as his family would never forgive him if he entered that room, a burden the Raven Lord is willing to bear. Within the chamber, the Raven Lord releases beings of the Dark Nexus from their holdings. The Dark Nexus is a realm tied on a primordial level to the chaotic nature of the Nexus. Avatars of the Dark Nexus take on the form of heroes that fight in the many battles that sweep across the Nexus. While they may look familiar, these avatars are chaos incarnate, ancient evils that burn with such hatred they cannot be controlled or bargained with. The Raven Lord puts an end to this belief. After shattering the form of one of the Dark Nexus avatars, seemingly taking on the form of the mighty primal Zerg Dahaka, the Raven Lord appears to absorb what is left of it. This causes the avatars taking on the form of Gul'dan and Alarak to bow before the Raven Lord and pledge their service. The first command the Lord has for these avatars of destruction is to lead his armies to the Towers of Doom and crush the rebellion of the Gravekeeper. We only see that march begin. So there you have it, a little lore behind the Nexus itself, and what we know of the Raven Lord, revealed within Hero's first comic. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe and share this video around. If you didn't... If you like the art, I've done my best to credit the artists. Until next time, I hope to meet you one day in the Nexus.